What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and stimulus check update. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. And remember, the new videos come out here every day on our YouTube channel at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thanks so much for hitting the like button for us down below. Democrats in Congress are pushing for a bill that could send stimulus checks from taxing oil companies. You can see here this article on The Hill. Oil prices are dropping, so why aren't gas prices? And the answer, corporate greed. You can actually see here the Democrats have introduced a bill. You can see the headline here on Business Insider. Democrats have unveiled a plan or a bill that's been officially introduced here in Congress to introduce quarterly checks, stimulus checks to Americans by taxing oil companies posting huge profits. And this is the problem here right now is that these oil companies are posting massive billions and billions of dollars extra over what they normally post. And they're just literally gouging the American consumer. You can actually see here right now, oil prices have actually fallen here in the last 24 hours or so by 5% after the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, has cut the growth outlook. You can see here, oil prices are currently, WTI crude is at 103 and Brent crude is at 108. Disregard these green symbols because that's only what has happened here in the last 12 minutes or the last couple hours. So, but you can see here 103 and 108. That's actually up a little bit. We were in the 90s here a few days ago. But remember that these highs, the high of this was around 130, and the high of Brent crude oil was around 140. So we're down like 30% or so. But the problem with the price of gas, you can see the headline here, right here on the front page of CNN Business. Gas prices are creeping higher again. And why are gas prices going up if the price of oil is 30% lower than the high that we had over a month ago? And you can see here, that's right, gas prices are going up here. Yesterday's average was 408. Now we're at 410 nationally. Again, this is the average price. You know, your state may vary. If you're in California, you're probably $1 higher than this because California just has much higher taxes. They have a different blend of gas, and you know, California is just different. But everywhere else in the U.S., the average, these are average prices. You could be higher, you could be lower. And also the price of diesel, which is just insane, 504, also going up. Even if you don't buy diesel, diesel affects you every day because it affects the price of groceries, it affects the price of goods, it affects the price of clothes, it affects the price of everything you buy because everything has to be shipped to a store, to a grocery store, to a Walmart, to a CVS, to a Walgreens. Any store there is has to be shipped via a semi truck, which they all run on diesel. So the price of diesel really matters. You can see it's almost $1 higher than regular gas. And you can see that the highest price ever here for diesel was over a month ago at 513 and 433 for regular on March 11th and March 12th here. But the problem here is that that was when oil was at $140 a barrel and $133 a barrel. But you can see right now we're nowhere near those prices. We're only at 103 and 108. So why are these prices so close to the highs? I mean, 504 is only 9 cents away from the all time high for diesel, which we hit just a month ago. And yet the price of oil is 30% lower. I mean, we should be in the $3, 350 range for regular, and diesel should be a whole dollar less. And I mean, that's why when you see headlines like this, I mean, it's absolutely true. These oil companies are making billions and billions of dollars more than they normally do. They're just raking in the profits. And now you can see it. Gas is actually going back up now. It's crazy. Yeah, you can see here in this article from The Hill, last Monday, the U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate oil prices briefly dipped below $94 a barrel, marking its lowest level since late February. But oil was not massively lower. I mean, we should have been down to $3. Or as you can see here, the last time barrel of oil cost that much, the national average for a gallon of regular was just over $3.50. Yet today it remains as high as $5 in some states. And we know in California it can be even higher than that. When the cost of oil spikes, gasoline prices skyrocketed. We know it was going up over 10 cents per day. So why is it that when oil prices decrease rapidly, the price at the pump has barely dropped? The answer is greed. Greed from big oil corporations. And this is exactly what I have said as well. They are unfairly driving up the costs on hard-working American families. Now, the recent gas prices spikes were not unexpected. The president has warned Americans that his decision to ban imports on Russian petroleum products into the U.S. would affect gas prices. I'm not even sure if we've seen a massive spike after that happened. Um, really, we've seen a lot of it before that happened. Still, even with these consequences, the vast majority of Americans and politicians, Democrat and Republican, supported the move, and it did pass in Congress with almost unanimous Republican support as well. There was a few Republicans that voted no, but very few, as part of the global effort to ensure that Putin's Russia remains an economic pariah. But let's be clear, this war in Ukraine is no excuse for our nation's richest oil companies to make Americans' working families foot the bill at the gas pump. These are the same companies that earned a record $174 billion in profit during the first 9 months of 2021. That's a lot of money. Look no further than ExxonMobil's America's largest oil company, which bragged earlier this month that their first quarter earnings profited $9.3 billion from pumping gas and oil alone, breaking a 7-year quarterly record. So, how do we manage the playing field? In the immediate term, we can pass Congress's Big Oil Windfall Profit Tax Act, which will lower consumer costs and maintain American competitiveness by taxing the oil companies that are profiteering in this moment of crisis. This is how we lower costs for families while holding big oil accountable and preventing further exploitation. This tax would then be distributed to Americans, to you guys, in quarterly stimulus checks. This is, however, solely a short-term solution to a long-term problem. It's long past time the U.S. ends our reliance on fossil fuel corporations and instead strengthens our energy independence, which we know that would just supplement the oil industry. We know we're never going to be fully, we're going to have to always have oil, but we can supplement it with other things. We actually just had this article that on March 29th, wind power for the first time in the US overtook coal and nuclear power in the United States and was second in the whole United States for power consumption. So that's how far alternative energy has come. And that's just wind power. It was only second to natural gas. Of course, we know things like cars can't run on wind power or solar or things like that. Cars have to run on gasoline or now newly electric cars, which a lot of car makers are transitioning to. But in the future, the electric grid may need to be upgraded as well. So that is a potential concern in the future. And electric cars are expensive right now. So if you don't have a lot of money to buy a brand new electric car, that's a concern as well. But going forward, a lot of new car manufacturers are building more and more electric cars. But the electricity is rising as well. So, I mean, literally everything is rising in prices. You could see here, luckily, significant steps have been taken in recent months to help insulate workers and families from price increases. Democrats and one single Republican in the House passed the American Competes Act in March to strengthen our nation's supply chains, bolster domestic manufacturing, and reduce our reliance on nations like Russia. On top of that, the bipartisan infrastructure law invested billions of dollars to supercharge America's transition to electric vehicles, clean energy, new green union jobs. Now it's time for Congress to double down and speed up, not slow down, our transition to clean energy future. That's why I call on my colleagues in Congress, Progressive Caucus, and calling on President Biden to marshal the federal government's purchasing power to invest in affordable, renewable energy that we cut costs for millions of families through executive action. This administration can bring down energy prices and save taxpayers billions of dollars by ending domestic and international federal fossil fuel subsidies and reinstate the crude oil export ban. Now, this is important because I have said this in the past is that we actually export right now 30 to 40% of our oil, and the gas companies are allowed to do this. So if we ban them from doing this and they're not allowed to do this, see, here's the thing is that the US is importing oil. We're buying it from other countries all around the world. We were buying anywhere from 3 to 8% of our oil from Russia. We've stopped doing that. Okay. In fact, the Hawaiian refineries in Hawaii stopped on their own. They literally just said, "We're not going to buy it from Russia." Most of the oil that was bought from Russia was on the West Coast, as you could figure. Hawaii and California and Washington over there. Hawaii just literally said, "We're not going to buy from Russia." And we've actually seen this in a lot of countries around the world. A lot of countries and companies have literally just said, "We don't want to buy from Russia anymore." And that's kind of how it snowballed. Um, and Democrats and Republicans have passed this now into law in addition to the executive order. So it's unanimous between both Republicans and Democrats. But they also could pass a law and reinstate this. This used to be here in the past as well, where we don't export any of our oil. Okay, so that would mean we just be energy sufficient or energy independent, where we don't sell our oil. Okay, so that could make a dramatic difference as well. Remember, 30 to 40% of our oil we export it. We export it, but we may need to do that if Europe also stands strong and decides to ban Russian oil as well. We may need to step up and help them out, because if they do that, it would be a huge blow against Russia, and then they will not have enough oil. Okay. And to stop the Putin war machine, which is a global effort, you could see this thing right here. Oil could jump to $185 a barrel if the EU agrees to an immediate ban of Russian crude exports, Says JP Morgan. This article was literally as of yesterday. And the EU is considering this. The entire European Union, which is like, I don't know how many countries are in the EU, but it's over a dozen. In fact, I just looked it up. There's 27 countries in the EU, and some of them have actually taken it upon themselves to stop buying Russian oil. So that actually goes to show you how bad Russia's already taken it. In fact, check this out. You can see this headline right here. Russian crude shipments have fallen by 25% in a week because as this war keeps going on and they're seeing the brutality of what Russia's doing, more and more companies and countries, remember, companies can literally just decide. Remember, I mean, we've seen companies like BP and Shell and Exxon just literally just decide that they're pulling out of Russia. So we have companies and countries decide that they're just going to stop buying Russian oil. And literally, look at this, just in 1 week, uh, 25% less shipments from Russia because countries and companies have just decided they're not buying it no more. They can't do business with Russia anymore. It's just just doesn't look good anymore. There's too many people that don't want to do business with them. And you can see another headline here. The problem with America's LNG, liquid natural gas, the U.S. is exporting as much LNG as they can in order to help replace Russia's gas, because there's gas, oil, and LNG, liquid natural gas. But there are limits to just how fast the U.S. LNG industry can grow. Remember, the U.S. is actually the largest producer of oil. Okay, and they're going to have to step up and help Europe if Europe decides to not buy Russian oil. Because if they don't, if Europe decides to not buy Russian oil, this headline is going to be a very big deal for everybody, including America and Americans. Oil could jump to $185 a barrel if the EU agrees to an immediate ban of Russian crude exports. I've seen other analysts say it could jump to over $300 a barrel. Remember, even if we don't buy any Russian oil at all, this is very important, guys. Remember that oil and gas, thereby, you know, in equation to oil is sold and on a stock like market, okay? And this is why gas prices and oil prices are are they fluctuate literally by the hour, okay? And if these prices go to this amount, it's going to massively raise our gas prices here in the US. Massively. So that's why there's a lot of moving parts here, a lot of moving parts here. It's not just an easy one size fits all here. So, yeah, you can let me know your thoughts here. Um, hopefully Congress, can step up and provide more support here for Americans because we have so many struggling Americans, and hopefully we can get more stimulus checks here for Americans. We have a lot of states stepping up here and using their stimulus money from the last stimulus round here. And if you didn't see my last video, I'll link you to that. A very, very important video you need to watch here. Um, but the whole gas picture, oil picture, and the food picture, remember that food prices are at an all-time high in the US and globally. The UN just came out and said that food prices are rising rapidly and they're at an all-time high right now and continuing to go high because of the massive bird flu going on around, the war. Ukraine and Russia account for 30% of grains and wheat and multiple different products, and they're just not shipping out because of the war. And it's making a lot of different things go up. The price of gas is making all these things go up. Remember, everything has to be shipped to a store, and all that costs gas, diesel, all that stuff has to be shipped. And all of these things are just being exacerbated. The longer that war goes on, the longer gas and oil stays up, the longer this drags out. And yeah, you kind of get the idea here. So, and honestly, it just doesn't seem like Putin is going to stop unless he's forced to stop or unless they're forced into bankruptcy, which is a real possibility, literally a real possibility. Um, yeah, I mean, in fact, some of the credit rating agencies have put Russia into a selective default, but that's very different than like a real default. Selective default means that they weren't able to pay in dollars because basically all their dollars have kind of been frozen, and now they can only work with rubles. And these banks won't accept rubles because they kind of can't exchange them. Some of these banks consider rubles worthless. I know it's kind of crazy, but literally Russia's kind of fallen apart in some aspects. And a lot of, in fact, most major corporations have just said we're not doing business with Russia. We've pulled out of Russia, and it's going to be really hard for Russia to kind of come back from this. Even if they somehow win this war, I mean, they don't even have one city under control. Mariupol has been kind of just obliterated at this point. It's really sad what's going on there. There's one group of soldiers left there that really looks bleak for them. I don't really think they're going to be able to pull it out unless they get a whole new regiment of troops there. Um, that's really not looking good for them. But I think they're going to lose that city. But I don't know. It's just it's tough all around for everybody. Like I said, there's not going to be any winners out of this war. It's just going to be a bunch of sad, sad stories for everybody, for the whole world. Ukraine, Russia, us here at home, inflation everywhere, high gas prices, high food prices, and just the shorter that we can make this whole situation, the better. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts. I'll keep you up to date here with everything. You definitely need to check out my newest video. I did a massive, massive video on stimulus check updates for all the states and the federal stimulus checks here with the latest information. I'll link you to that video here in a moment if you haven't seen it. Make sure to subscribe down below to our channel. It's completely free to do so. Remember, so click the subscribe button down below if you haven't yet. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And here is that video, if you haven't seen it yet, is that massive stimulus check update video that I just did. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.